now.
Hi everyone. My name is Cody Quinn, also known as Kendrick, and I prefer you to call me Kendrick. And today I'm going to introduce you with the very first project I did at Pratt at the very first semester in Brooklyn, in New York. So the project, there is no name, so I just leave it as Project 1. And the goal is to think beyond traditional ways of defining space. Basically, we are required to establish something within a cubit. The real scale is 25 feet by 25 feet by 25 feet, but we did it. Of course, we did it in scale, and the professors want us to think out of the box, not literally out of the box, because we have to build things inside the box, and we have to consider it in a more abstracting intervention. And this project is more like to choose. They gave us a bunch of words, a bunch of dualities we have to choose and translate them into the space in our own ways, in our own language. And the duality I choose are intimate and communal. So for the very first week, can you see that clearly? For the very first week, for the very first assignment, it's kind of hard for me because I've never did this before. So I create the very simple concept. The communal means there is no secret, and the intimate means safety. So as we can see on the right side of the box, they are totally transparent, and which means that people hanging around here will feel each other, and there is totally no secret. And for the left part, the opaque column stands for little smaller spaces that can be occupied by less people than here. So then it'll feel like more safer. But the first time is not always pleasant, and there are a lot of problems with this object. First of all, I kind of separate them totally, and instead of combining them and create it into a whole space, and the concept is not that convincing. So for the next model, sketch model, what I did is take the five senses of the human being into consideration, but mostly the three of them, because the sense of hearing, the sense of touching, the sense of sight is of the most important part in the space. And when it comes for the sense of taste and the sense of smell, they are interesting, but they are not that significant, not that important in this part. So what I'm thinking is, let's say the ground floor as a big playground that people here can see each other, can hear each other, can bump into each other with no barriers. And with the sculpture, or with the racks, when it goes up, there are little cubes here, which represents that they can be occupied by fewer people here. And when the level goes up, the distance between the distance between each cubit and the ground floor become larger, and so the sense of these three senses will I think the level of these three senses will diminish when the level goes up. Although I think it's developed it in some way than the previous one, but my professor told me that basically I just built a sculpture in a box, not interacted with the 4 walls, with the 6 walls. I mean, each space have 6 walls. which is the crucial part for an interior designer, because we are always dealing with space. Space means we have to deal with the walls. So for the next module I made, yeah. Well, after 2 weeks of critiquing and discussing with professor and a classmate, there are, I think, the other classmates of mine who chose the intimate and communal. It seems like we did something very similar. So I try to step out of the stereotype. Don't be fooled by the stereotype, because the funny thing is, when we think about communal and intimate, we will automatically think that, oh, something big, like when a bunch of people standing in the square, in the Times Square. Oh, that is definitely a very communal space, and few people stay at home, feel chilling out. That means, oh, that's intimate. But I think it's a stereotype. We have to think things under some conditions. For example, in this very classroom, because we are interacting, so it's not that big, but it's very communal. It's a very communal space, because we all of us are sitting close together and we are interacting. But let's say all of us move to the Pratt Library or to the Pratt Gym. Just the whole building. There were no other people. Just the same number of people here, people there. It'll suddenly become a less communal space than here, because distance between each other and interacting between each other apparently they diminished. So that's the concept for this model. Think this. Let's put like 100 people here. The distance between each other, then chance the people interact with each other are definitely smaller than 100 people here in this relatively smaller space. So yeah, that's the concept for the week 3. And for the final model, I'm sorry, the time is very ruthless. He collapsed, he break my model. It just fall apart because it's like 2 months ago, and it should look like this when it's nice and beautiful. What I did is developed it from the last concept. I gave the rules is, see the grid here, each intersection can only be occupied by 1 person, and the ground floor is also it can also be occupied by people. We can put like 10 people in each level, so that the distance between each other on the ground floor is smaller than this level, and smaller than this level, and smaller than this level. So the distance between each other is this on the top floor is the biggest, and the chance they are using their 5 senses to interact with each other it didn't diminish when the level goes down. So not only I create a trend that will change gradually to some certain intimate part, to another communal level, the height between each level also increases when the level goes up. So not only the distance between each other on the horizontally becomes larger, but also the vertically, because I have to think things in a 3-dimensional way, because it's all about the space. And for the refraction, because it is very new for me. It is the very first time I have the chance to only manipulate with the space. because when in my graduate school, we always think about, oh, this is functional, this is not functional, the scale is right, the scale is not right. It's totally boring, and this is much more fun to play with. Yeah, and during the critics, the classmates, the professors give very effective and professional suggestions that help me to build things better. And it also helps me to establish the ability to think things spatially, and yeah, it's kind of like opening the door to a very whole new world to me. Like, I'm not only a designer, but let's try something like the artist will do. Thank you. That's all.
So nice to see everyone's projects, right?
For your first VID1, you're talking about that you're focusing on 3 senses. It's gonna be sight and the hearing and touching. And you're not really thinking about the smell and
the smell and taste.
I agree about the tasting part, but smell I think it's really important, especially if you go to some kind of like a high-end store, like they really focusing on the smell. Like that's the first impression actually. Even if you see the something. To me, I'm really sensitive with the smell, so even if it's really beautiful, has really strong chemical smell, then I feel like, oh, that's disgusting. I didn't even see it. So. Idea.
I have a question too.
Yeah.